Welcome to Retro Scale Modelling. This is part 7 of Moebius's Battlestar Galactica Colonial Viper Mark 1. Scale is 1 to 32. In this part, I'm going to be doing a bit of the weathering and putting the final touches onto the model. Now this video is slightly shorter than my normal videos because in part 6, if I put this at the end of part 6, the video would have been too long. So I thought it was better to split it into an extra little video. So let's jump into this and see how well I get on. Start off with dealing with the cockpit. So first of all, the pilot goes in. Now that just sits in its seat, obviously. The control stick, there's a little location point at the bottom there where that just slots into. But you shouldn't have any problem locating it. It does fit in quite nicely. So now it's onto the canopy. And what I'm doing here is I'm using the micro crystal clear glue once more for my canopy. And as I've said before, this is designed not to fog up your canopy. So it's well worth getting some of this if you do use a lot of clear parts. The canopy itself, when I fit it, I mean the back half has to slide into the air intake first before pressing down, otherwise it won't fit. I found that my canopy was about 1 millimeter too long, so I just took my file and sanded it down slightly. It makes no difference to the actual build because the sanded part is encased into the intake and you just do not see it. But I don't know whether I made a mistake or it was just designed that way. Once the canopy was cleaned up and dried, it was time to do a bit of weathering. So as you can see there, I'm using Tamiya's Weathering Master D, and I'll be using the burnt blue part first of all, and apply that with a brush sharpener brush. That's the brush with the foam or rubber flexible tip, and I've just put a good amount on the tip of the brush and just gliding it over the area that I want the colour on. So in this instance, the engines. Now this is a few step process to get the look I'm after, but first of all the burnt blue goes on. You can use as much or little as you want. If you want a burnt exhaust look, all you have to do when you place this on and just rub it in and then gradually blend it in using your foam tip or a cloth, and it will embed itself into your colour and start giving that blue tinge. Next I'm going on to the burnt red component of the Weathering Master D, and it's the same again that I use with the blue. I'm just putting on the next colour, less this time, and blending that in, and this will start giving it the dioxide look that you get from metal parts that have been overheated. I would suggest practicing with these weathering pigments if you haven't used them before until you're comfortable with the look you can get. If you do put too much on, it's quite difficult to rebalance it. You would have to like repaint it or strip it and redo it. So it is worth practicing if you haven't used these pigments before. Now these weathering pigments come with its own little brush, but I always discard them because they're not very good. The brush sharpener that I'm using here, for me, it's the best way to apply the pigment. These brush sharpeners also are very good for filling in panel lines and straight lines because it has a hard edge that will not bristle out like a brush will. So now I'm moving on to the oil stain component, and I'm just running that over the structure in between the engines or in the vanes, just lightly, just giving it so it's got a bit more definition, just running my brush over it. Now you can use any dark colour for this, but just because I've got the deal, I'm using the oil stain. Now, if you don't like what you put on say like on the white area, which I'm doing here now, a damp cloth will remove it, but you do have to be quite quick on that, and it will smear also. So if you do it, make sure that you take it off quickly, but also be aware that you may have to repaint certain areas. However, if you do use a damp cloth to take it off, again, have a practice with this, but the damp cloth can actually, as I said, smear the pigment, and that could add to the weathering effect. Similar to what I did with the paint in my previous build when I was weathering the engines. It's a nice little trick to do for a weathering process. So as you can see there, I'm going over all the raised areas with the oil pigment stain and just applying it where I think it will look better. I'm applying a little bit more than normal on this part here because I thought in the end the metallic grey that I used to paint this needed to be a bit darker, so I'm just adding more depth with the pigment. But as a rule, I'm just lightly brushing over the raised areas with the sharpener to give it some definition and markings. So hopefully there you can see it starting to come through. I've now gone over to Tamiya's Weathering Master Series C, and I'm using the gunmetal component here, and I'm going over the guns with this initially, again giving it a good coat, and also this helps to keep the metallic look as well. Remember, I put the wash on these, so now I'm just enhancing it with the pigment. And then it's back to the Weather Master Series D once more, and again it's the oil stain that I'm using here to just place some more markings where I feel it's necessary that needs doing. And once I'm happy with that, it's time for the next weathering process. So here I'm using Revol's Aquacolor 371 Light Grey, and I'm going to be creating some little chips in the paintwork. Now I'm using a very stiff brush. This is an old brush that I've cut down and stiffened up the bristles, and I'm just jabbing on the paint on the darker grey areas. Now if you watch the other videos, you'll hear me talking about the paint lifting up with the masking tape. Unfortunately, I didn't achieve that, so I never got any chipping. So I'm just painting in the chipping effect now. And as you can see, it's just little dabs of paint I'm putting on any areas where I would like a bit of chipping to look, predominantly on the secondary colours. So once that's all done, just a final check to make sure I'm happy with the weathering. I think I've got a good balance there. Hopefully that shows up in the camera quite well. And now it's time to use Pledge Clear Polish or Varnish to give the overall varnish. Now, ideally, a semi-gloss varnish is what I'm needing here, but I don't have any. The Pledge one will act as a semi-gloss, but the problem with the Pledge on light colours is if you put it on too thickly, it can start yellowing the paintwork. Something I fail to mention from time to time, but it's worth pointing out. If you have it on too thickly, when it dries, you may get some little yellowish splodges that don't look very attractive at all. So when you put it on thinly. And this is where I'll bring the build to the end. The next video will be the actual final reveal. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds? If you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, that way you'll be kept up to date not only with this build, but all my future builds as well, of course. Hit the like button, don't be afraid to leave a comment, and of course you can share the video. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.